Congressman-elect Riggleman for a couple more days. Denver Riggleman got elected in November, and he will be taking office on, I think, January 3rd, and he's with us now. Republican 5th District of Virginia. That's one of the biggest land masses in the United States as far as just square miles is concerned, certainly east of the Mississippi. Denver, great to have you, man.
Good morning. How you doing, John?
When do you go from Congressman-elect Denver Riggleman to Congressman Denver Riggleman?
January 3rd. Tomorrow's the new year, so I'm pretty excited about that. And then 2 more days after that, John, I'm sworn in as the congressman for the 5th District.
All right, so that will be – so when do you actually get sworn in? The 3rd or the 5th?
I think the 3rd, January 3rd, and it's going to be around noon. So I have and everybody's invited. We got a room at the Library of Congress. So from 10 to 2, we're going to have our swearing-in party up in D.C., so we're pretty excited about that, too. I hope we don't get overwhelmed, but right now it looks like we're going to have a lot of people there, John, so it should be exciting.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun, and that's 10 to 2 at the Library of Congress.
Of Congress, yes.
All right, so if I just go to the Library of Congress, I'm good to go.
Yeah, it's the place with all the books, John. It has a lot of books there. That's what I've heard, so pretty excited about that.
All right, Library of Congress, going to be a lot of fun. Denver Riggleman is going to be there, and he's going to get sworn in. Denver, we just had a caller from New Jersey, and a lot of us are tired for the Republicans that don't do anything. You're going to get sworn in. You're a doer. You're going to be there on Thursday. You're going to the minority. What is your advice to the president on this government shutdown over the $5 billion for the wall?
It's sort of funny because I'm a security guy. There's a couple things you got to do in the 5th District. I got elected because of border security. I got elected because of streamlined immigration. I was also listening to your cronyism rant, which I agree with completely, as you know. And I think what we have here is I think at some point somebody's got to hold the line on what's right and what they campaigned on. And I think President Trump is doing that. The government shutdown is awful for federal employees, but you're looking at a 25% government shutdown, not 75%. I think people don't realize all of the actual basic funding for the government's good till September of 2019. So it's a quarter shutdown. It's a principal shutdown. Yes, we want to get something done, but standing on your principles is always a good thing.
The Federal Reserve, a lot of people wringing their hands over it. I'm very upset at Jerome Powell. I thought the first couple of increases Denver made sense because you had to undo quantitative easing. You've got an economy that's growing, so I kind of got it. The third one put the economy in a tailspin. Now he's talking about doing another one. Why the hell would you do another interest rate increase, Denver?
I don't know. I was reading something, and you might need to fact check me, John. I think they said during the Obama administration they had one rate increase in 8 years. I think that's correct.
Yes, that is correct.
I think that's correct.
That is correct.
And I know. I mean, how many have we had so far now? Is this number 3, number 4?
We've had so far. Up? He just did He just did number 3.
Number 3, and I think for me, I'm a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
You automatically start to look sideways when you see an economy that's exploding, especially based on tax cuts and, opportunity zones. There's a lot of stuff that was done in that tax cut and job reform bill, John, and you know this. I don't think people were aware of. It wasn't just the tax cuts. So you see this growth in the economy, and an artificial retraction is interesting to me, right? And I'm saying that sarcastically,
right.
John.
Right.
Why are we doing this right now? Yes, you're right. We needed to start slowly building the rate structure back up. I get it. But it does seem odd to me that we're looking at a stock market that just can't quite seem to get its footing based on a multitude of factors. I think the last factor we need is a Fed that continues just to increase the rates, and we're not quite sure when it ends. It's a little interesting to me that there's that power there to do that. I mean, I love independence in our government, but it seems to me that doing that dictates much of what's happening in the economy and what we're trying to do with tax cuts and what we're trying to do with growth. So it is concerning to me on the Fed for sure.
The government shutdown, you're going to Congress in the middle of a shutdown, 25% of the federal workforce out of work. Now, just again, so that it's clear, everybody understands it. Whenever they do get back to work, they all get paid for the back pay. So it's not like they've lost that money that goes out of their income. So if they haven't been paid for a month and the first week they're back, the first check they get wired will be that week plus the month. So all the back pay comes. So some people can say that it amounts to a paid vacation. Obviously, though, if you don't have the cash flow to fund that, that's an issue. Now, Denver, president has asked for $5 billion. Chuck Schumer the other day said, nope, you're not getting a dime, not one red penny, never, no way. What happens?
I think at this point, you need to have somebody come in there and tell Chuck Schumer that President Trump probably isn't going to back down. Again, I'm actually having a little fun with this morning. Mm-hmm. I don't, unless you're seeing something different, John. I don't think President Trump's going to back down on this. Mm-hmm. You're looking at the amount of money that the United States pays on illegal immigration is astounding. Mm-hmm. And you also talked about the government shutdown. I want to raise my hand right now. You know somebody who's been affected by the government shutdown? Me. Mm-hmm. I owned a company for 3 years, back and forth. Whenever there's a government shutdown, we have to absorb that cost as a CEO. I had to absorb that cost and then hopefully get the back pay for it. So I understand the pain people are going through. I do. I get it. It's scary. A lot of things are going on, but at some point, who are you actually blaming here? Are you blaming somebody who made a campaign promise to fix our immigration system, or are you going to blame somebody like Schumer, who is doing this for political reasons and absolutely is aware that building a border wall actually works? I was just in Israel. You know that, John. Mm-hmm. I saw the 300-plus mile border wall in Israel, which stops suicide bombings, enhanced security in Israel. Defense in depth works. And I think I'm getting a little bit, tired of the disingenuousness, but also the chattering class and using this as a political football. I think you have people coming in that are going to be serious, like myself, that actually wants to get things done. But we know the Democrats are going into the majority on the Democratic side, and I think you're going to see a war in there, John. I mean, you have people talking bipartisanship on the other side. Looking at the far left caucus, John, I think it's going to be us against the world right now. I just don't see Donald Trump giving in, and I see Chuck Schumer trying to appeal to his base. I think that's what's going on now.
So you think that eventually the Democrats are going to have to compromise to reopen this non-essential? Yeah,
they have to. I mean, we own the Senate. We still have a Republican president. They're going to have to compromise. And the other thing that's going to happen, and you know this, John, is that the Republicans, I think right now, are united. I've been up there. And it's enough. I mean, there's this exhaustion from people with common sense looking at the far left, which is just, I just don't get it. But now we have 235 of them that we have to deal with and 200 of us. I just hope we have somebody on the left that has a smidgen of common sense. I just hope it's there. And if it's not, we're going to have a very testy Congress coming up in the next couple of years.
Denver Riggleman with us, newly elected Congressman-elect Denver Riggleman, Republican 5th District, Virginia. He's going to be fighting the good fight. He'll be sworn in on Thursday, January the 3rd in Washington, D.C. We will certainly be there at the Library of Congress for that. Looking forward to it. And Denver, I'm really looking forward to you being my neighbor up there when I'm up there during the week.
Well, you can come by and see me. I'm in Longworth 1022. So all you got to do, John, is stop by and knock on the door, man. I mean, it's the people's office. I'm going to do the best I can, not only in the district for constituent services to take care of the people in the district, which is my first priority, but to defend the Constitution. Because you know what my oath is, John, just like when I was in the military, was to defend the Constitution. And that's what I'm going to do from all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's my job. And people are going to see that I take it very seriously. Mm-hmm. And even though I've never been really in politics before, they're going to see I'm used to scrapping. So if they wanted a fighter, they got a fighter in there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Well,
I'm definitely going to do my show from your office several times. I just got to.
Awesome.
I just got to get somebody. I just got to get somebody to let me in there. That's always the issue. Bobby Scott lets me do it because. He makes poor David Daly come in, his chief of staff, and let me in. But if I get somebody to let me in at 5:25 a.m., we're good to go. It isn't easy.
Oh, I see the issue.
Yeah,
exactly.
You got to get. Yeah, it's not that easy,
That's right.
But
right.
I'm sure we'll figure it out. But look, I'm really excited that you've got the opportunity to make a difference in there, Denver, and I know you ran a very, very hard campaign. I know you personally. I know you stand for things. So let's get to Syria. We talked about this last week. The president campaigned on getting out of Syria and Afghanistan. He says he's going to get out of there. The neocons and the warmongers, and I'm not putting you in that category, but you know who they are. Lindsey Graham goes in there the other day, talks to him, slows it down. You know, Lindsey Graham ran for president. He got 1% of the vote in South Carolina. Trump got 57%. Why do we care what he says? He can't.
Being a senator, I know that he's in there for 6 years, and he has a perspective on things. But here's what we're talking about. It's funny to me, John, that all the people that were crushing the president on certain other places than were with Iranian dominance, whether you're talking about Yemen, whether you're talking about Lebanon, now you have Syria. They talk about ISIS. The real issue there is Iranian hegemony, and I wonder how these people can actually sleep at night, where they said the president is misusing the NDAA, right? Remember the Democrats went crazy on the budget, and some Republicans on the NDAA, because we're in too many places and we're putting our troops in harm's way for mission sets that we haven't defined. And now we come out with a president who said, okay, let's get him out of Syria then, which I believe he campaigned on, John.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, those very same people are screaming their heads off that, oh, my gosh, we're letting ISIS rebuild. Okay, if that is your argument, and we're talking about ISIS but also Iran, and we're talking about other areas in the region, then why are you screaming about Yemen? Why are you screaming about any other place on earth when we're talking about counterterrorism? And I think that's the thing that I can't wait to get in there, because, once I get a hold of the reports, I'm just going to tell the truth of what's going on in there. There is no problem with a reasonable, right, thought-out extraction of troops from Syria. That is something we can do. And I'm just not quite sure. Of course, I'm sure. Again, I'm being a little bit, so I'm actually just having a little bit of fun here. But I'm absolutely sure why people are politicizing this, because now they're saying, oh, the president makes decisions, and it's rash. I would have loved for Mattis to have stayed, and I would talk to you about that another time, John, about why he should have waited. I would have loved to have seen President Trump maybe do it in a little bit of a different way. But the simple fact that we get troops out of Syria based on our men and women in uniform over there and how I feel about it personally, that is not a bad thing. This is not a bad objective. This is not a bad goal. And I just find it astounding on the hypocrisy of people who are screaming about too big of a defense budget. We're in too many places. And as soon as we start making steps to get out of these places, all of a sudden we're not making the right decisions. It's politics. I'm tired of it. That's why you see people like me going in. We're just sick of it. And that's why, I was never involved